Hey everybody, welcome back to JT Channel and welcome to yet another wrestling discussion. I seem to have these way more often than I was expecting. And we once again have to talk about some back-to-back stuff that happened on WWE and AEW. And this one's a little more, I guess, just my feelings towards stuff, which, I mean, that's a lot of times. But we talked about this way back when there was all those cage matches, how they, people were going to compare them. And then earlier this year, just a couple of weeks ago maybe, might have only been like last week or so, we had those moves that looked too dangerous, so I had a conversation about that. And this week, I want to talk a little bit about things that are supposed to be big but kind of fell flat. I don't know how else to explain it really, but it really hit me on Dynamite last night, but we're going to get there in a second. I really want to talk first about what happened on Raw. Excuse me, Raw was a very good show, I thought. It had lots of great matches, lots of great progressions of storylines. I cannot believe we're going to see CM Punk and John Cena. I mean, it was going to happen, but I wasn't ready for it, I guess. I was expecting it to be further down the line. And yes, CM Punk is wrestling in Saudi Arabia. Get over it. It happens all the time. He didn't mean to be a hypocrite. It's just WWE wanted to make money, and that's what you do on the Saudi shows, is you make money. And there's a really good chance the Saudi government, the Saudis, whatever the fuck they are, asked for this match. And WWE always gives them what they ask for. Because if you don't, you might be dismembered. Anyway, Raw, like I said, was very, very good. And I wanna point out that I love Gunther. I thought he was an incredible Intercontinental Champion, but it was the right time for Sam to take it off him. He was an incredible World Heavyweight Champion, but it was the right time for Jey Uso to take it off of him. Now, I never expected Jey Uso to have a Roman Reigns title reign, or even like a 6-month title reign. I thought at best he would hold the title through SummerSlam, or at least until SummerSlam. And then probably a cash in, or what happened on Raw, whatever. For me personally, it really fell flat. That's the exact phrase I used on social media, is that this fell flat. It was a good match. Wade Barrett on commentary did his job as a commentator and said it might be even better than the one at Mania. It wasn't. Their Mania match was much, much better. There was a lot more emotion, a lot more story. It was a lot better. And it just seemed like this match was, first of all, put out of nowhere. Like when Gunther came out and said, I get the challenge as the World Heavyweight Champion the Monday after Money in the Bank, everyone had the same idea. Seth Rollins is going to cash in. That was even before everybody was qualified for Money in the Bank. But we all kind of figured Seth would get into the match and get the briefcase. It's kind of clear the path they're on right now, Seth being the next World Heavyweight Champion. Or a future World Heavyweight Champion anyway. But then on Raw, he came out during the John Cena CM Punk promo, which that makes a little more sense if you think about it, because Seth hates CM Punk and would love to shut John Cena up and take away his title during his retirement run. But we all figured the world title, right? So when this match started, as it got going, everybody had the same expectations. Jey was going to fight valiantly and retain his world title, barely, and then maybe even Gunther beat him up after. Maybe it was a roll-up or something, like a lucky victory. Either way, Jey was going to be exhausted by the end of this. Seth and his goons were going to come out, cash in, Seth walks away World Heavyweight Champion. Not only did that not happen, but Gunther is the World Heavyweight Champion again. Now, again, I cannot stress enough that I don't care that Gunther is the world champion. It's fine. I love Gunther. He constantly has the best matches. He had one of Pat McAfee's best matches by far. And it was, Pat did, you can't discount Pat McAfee, but Gunther had a lot to do with that. It just felt like the way this match went, the way it ended, and the way Raw had to kind of rush off the air. I'm sorry, it seems crooked to me. If it's not, then just, holler at me. But it really felt like when Gunther won and then Raw just kind of ended and then Jey Uso cut this promo afterwards, it just didn't feel right. I'm trying to word this correctly, because I've already had people come at me on social media, even when I say I don't mind that Jey lost. I don't mind that Jey lost to Gunther. People are still like, oh, well, you're just a yeet moron, and Gunther is the best wrestler in the world, and Jey Uso should jump off a cliff and yell yeet on the way down. People are really extreme when it comes to pro wrestling. Jey Uso was a fantastic world champion. He had some great matches, and again, it's totally fine that he lost the title, to Gunther especially. But this match didn't feel big enough, and to me anyway, and it feels like it in the crowd too. when a heel takes the title off of a valiant babyface and the story is right, you get those drowning out boos and the boo, this sucks, you suck, all that stuff. But it didn't feel like that. It just kind of felt like the air was sucked out of the room. People were like, what? Gunther won? Gunther's not supposed to win. And then you watch the afterwards reactions, and a lot of people are just like, what? Why? This doesn't make any sense. And then I thought, okay, Gunther wins the title, maybe Seth still cashes in. No, Raw just kind of went off the air. This clip back here is seconds before Raw went off the air. Gunther got the title around his waist, and you could tell Michael Cole was kind of speeding along. Which is also interesting because WWE does not have a hard out on Netflix. Triple H said it before, Raw could be 40 minutes or 4 hours. And they can do whatever they want on Netflix. So the fact that it felt like they rushed off the air makes me think that they knew that this decision was going to be controversial no matter what. The fact that it felt like the air was just sucked out of the room and it wasn't like a, oh no, the heel beat the babyface. It just didn't feel right. And I've seen a few people say that there are some good things about it. Like, it's a surprise title win on Raw. That's always a good thing, especially when it's the world title. Gunther has clearly learned from his last meeting with Jey Uso. That's fine. Makes perfect sense. Jey beat him with the sleeper. He beat Jey with the sleeper. All good. That's all great. And now that Gunther's the champion again, Jey has to get his rematch. But maybe we can get the big matches out of Gunther now. I'm not going to start naming off people he can wrestle, but there are potentially big matches in there. There were big matches for Jey too, but I get it. When it comes to caliber of wrestler, Gunther is much higher up than Jey is. I'm not afraid to say that, but I will still yeet until my yeet falls off. So, again, there's some good things with this, but it just felt unnecessary at the time. It felt like we didn't really build it right. We all just kind of, Gunther just came out and said, I'm going to fight for the title on Raw one day. And then we all just kind of anticipated. We knew Jey wasn't going to lose before this. And Gunther winning, I'm not saying is the wrong decision. It just felt like it was approached incorrectly. So it's very wait and see. What's Jey going to do now? He has to, you assume he would want a rematch. Or maybe not. Maybe he just moves on. I don't know. But we'll see for sure. And you're probably thinking, okay, well, you mentioned AEW at the start of this. What are you trying to say? Well, AEW did something last night that I also think didn't make a whole lot of sense. What am I talking about? Well, I've changed my background image. I am talking about Kazuchika Okada teaming up, joining forces with Don Callis to completely obliterate Kenny Omega. Okay, so this one made even less sense to me. So last night, just to kind of get you through it, Dynamite was 4 hours. Well, it was Dynamite and Collision. It was a 4-hour block. I don't know why Collision's not on Saturdays right now. I don't care. I just got to watch some wrestling last night. I only watched the first part, the Dynamite part. And the main event segment was Okada and Omega signing the contract for their 5th match. They had one of the best hype packages I've ever seen. And it's like 6 minutes long, but it's really worth watching. It runs you through the history of their other 4 matches and then the build up to this match. They signed the contract, and Don Callis comes out. He was yelling at Okada in the back about Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher, so he came out yelling about Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher. Kenny Omega goes, I know all of your tricks, and Don goes, oh yeah, well you don't know this one. Okada jumps him, they hit him in the gut, they keep hitting him in the gut over and over again. Okada elbow drops him in the gut on the stretcher, he starts spitting blood everywhere. When I first saw it, I smirked and I made a little noise because the stuff on the floor that Kenny was spitting out really didn't look like blood. But then I allowed myself to buy in a little bit. But it was supposed to be, Kenny had that diverticulitis. So he's got like a bunch of his intestines were removed. So it's a constant story. Don't hit Kenny Omega in the stomach. They hit him in the stomach with like a baton. And then Okada doing that elbow drop, whatever. And then Okada and Don Callis was screaming, they're going to kill us. They're going to kill us. And they jumped in the car and drove off. Why was this unnecessary? Because of this right here. I'm trying to cover him up. Don Callis is fucking great. All right, he's one of the best heels. Every time he walks out, there's a fuck Don Callis chant. I think the last time I was at an AEW show, which was last year, he stepped out and we were already doing the fuck Don Callis. Every time he's on television, people chant that. So he's one of the best heels in the business. Okada did not need him. If this was the plan, if the plan was to destroy Kenny Omega and be the dick, Okada's been doing that just fine. Okada's been a great heel in AEW. For them to this felt like a Vince Russo bait and switch because, and this is just my opinion, Okada has, like I said, he's kind of been the heel in the story for a long time. He's been a bad guy since he came to AEW. He kind of separated himself from the Bucks and was just having banger matches for a while. And, you know, so the crowd was getting behind him again. Because, I mean, the crowd's always been behind him. It's fucking Okada, for God's sake. But for them to come to this sign-up, contract signing, and then for Okada to gotcha with Don Callis, it just did not make sense to me. I, again, would have been totally okay with this entire storyline with I'm sure I can't get my arm in here, without Don Callis. If Okada had just decided to shake Omega's hand, and then, you know, they were walking around celebrating, and then he just punched him in the gut and beat the shit out of him, no Don Callis, would have been just as effective, if not even more effective, in my opinion. I don't know. Again, the Don Callis family stuff has been great. Okada does not need Don Callis, and Don Callis family does not need Okada. They've been doing great with Takeshita, Fletcher, I think, who is it? I can see his face. Trent Beretta, he's in there. I think Lance Archer and Brian Cage. It's a huge faction. Why add Okada? Why do you need Okada? Especially since we're only, what is today, the 12th? Today's the 12th. The pay-per-view is July 12th. We're a month away, and you decide to put Okada with Don Callis. I just don't think it makes any sense, other than the only thing I was about to say the only thing I'm willing to accept. Really, the only thing that I want to hear is that, you know, Callis hates Omega and Okada hates Omega, so they teamed up. And now you're probably thinking, well, then that does make sense. Why are you such a dumbass? Because in the moment, it doesn't make any sense to me. In the moment, I feel like even if they both do hate Kenny Omega, they can do it separately. The Don Callis family can go do whatever they're going to do while Okada and Omega do this. I don't want the fifth match, you know, in this amazing rivalry. The other four matches were so goddamn good, and there wasn't a single person involved. Okay, the last match took place in June or July of 2018. That's how long it's been since these two have wrestled, 7 years. And I was looking forward to the one-on-one, but now there's a chance for Don Callis to get involved, or Takeshita to get involved, or Fletcher. We don't want that with Omega and Okada. And I guess that's where this is really coming from when it comes down to it, when it comes down to like why I'm so against this, why it bothers me. And it's because this is supposed to be one of the biggest feuds in wrestling history, one of the biggest matches in wrestling history. And a lot of people are excited. A lot of people love the twist, love how Okada just murdered Omega, the blood spitting out of his mouth, Omega having me rushed to a hospital, local medical facility, and, you know, Okada and Callis. And I'm looking forward to the explanations. I'm looking forward to all that. But in the end, right, I'm going to leave this as my background. I thought about changing it to something else, but what the fuck am I changing it to? My point in this video is, as the title says, is that wrestling is not always infallible. I made a video when WWE fired R-Truth and asked if WWE had lost the plot. This is the problem with pro wrestling in general, is sometimes pro wrestling makes decisions that not everybody agrees with. Now, I've always said, my wife is sitting right there, so she knows I say this in case I don't want her to get offended. But I have said this to her, I've said this to my family, I've said this to every person I've ever dated, actually, that the one constant in my life, no matter what, is pro wrestling. It never upsets me, it never makes me angry, it's always there.
It does make you angry, but you love it.
It does make me very angry sometimes.
And yes,
hence this video.
He says that all the time.
It is. I say the one thing that has never let me down is pro wrestling. Even in the dark times like 2019 or what was it, 07 to 2011. Even when WWE was the only game in town and it was really bad, it was still there. I still had things to enjoy. But that does not mean it is infallible. Okay? I made all those comments about R-Truth in WWE when he was let go, and he was let go. Okay, I'm tired of people saying it was a work. It wasn't. He was fired, or well, they let his contract expire. He refused to talk to anybody but Nick Khan, the owner of everything, and then they worked out a new negotiation. Now he's Von Killings. Yay! But these two things were mistakes in my opinion. Gunther being world champion, great idea in practice, but it was executed incorrectly. And then this, I just do not see the point of it. Yes, they both probably hate Kenny Omega and they're bonded over their mutual hatred. But now there's a chance for Kenny Omega versus Kazuchika Okada. Match number 5 for the first time in 7 years to have shenanigans and interference. Or as Simon Miller says, distraction, interference, and confusion. You can put that acronym together yourself. So I guess that's it. It's just a little bit of a rant. Both Raw and the Dynamite half of Summer Blockbuster last night, they were all perfectly fine. I didn't watch Collision. 7 to 11 is a bit long for me, and I have go to bed, spend time with my wife. But they were both fine shows. They were both really good shows. I thought Dynamite was great. The opening match between Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland that went to a draw, and then the story afterwards and the story later on. I wish I was still reviewing wrestling consistently because there's so much to talk about with both companies and all the shows. But this week, there's just been some things that I don't agree with. I very much believe, especially in 2025, in wait and see. Remember all our initial reactions to R-Truth being let go. Now, that was a real thing, but look where we are now. Like I said, maybe in the next couple of weeks, Don and Okada make some sort of thing, some sort of conversation, godly, talking about why they did this. Maybe it makes sense. And as long as WWE has a proper plan for Gunther and Jey Uso, I'll let it go. The match will never not feel flat to me. If I went and rewatched it right after making this, it would still feel flat. Like, the match was fine, but I wasn't really into it. Like, I wasn't like, oh, go Jey Uso, because I kind of felt like it made more sense for Jey to retain and then something bad to happen to him instead of Gunther. Gunther beating him because Jey was worn out does make sense, don't get me wrong. But there was just something off. So, thank you everybody so much for watching, and as always, thank you for listening to me bitch, moan, whine, and complain about my favorite goddamn thing. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment down below. What did you think about all this? Are you one of these, fans that absolutely fucking despises Jey Uso and would be happy if he was beaten by La Yesca? If you know, you know. Or did you agree with me? Or were you just a big Jey Uso fan and really didn't want to lose the title? And then with this, what do you think about it? Are they just going after Kenny Omega? Is there going to be dick in the one of the greatest matches of all time? You just let me know in the comments. And I don't know what's coming next. I was going to play a game today, but I couldn't figure out anything, and I really wanted to make this video, so just keep watching. I'm doing a lot more talking videos. I do not know for sure if Drop and Shred this week is going to be on Friday or Saturday, because I have kind of a odd job tomorrow, so we'll find out. So until next time, this is JT Channel. I am JT, and I will see you in the next one.